You are now tuned in to the CT Live Show with DJ Casanova and Teddy Lee, bringing you the best interviews and conversations with independent business owners and music artists.
What up, y'all? What up, y'all? Welcome back to CT Live Podcast. I'm your boy, DJ Casanova, and my main man, who?
I'm your boy, Teddy Lee. What's going on with y'all?
And today we got an Austin legend. Most people know him, some people don't, but we're going to find out a lot about him today. My man, DJ Doc. What's going on, homie?
What's going on, baby?
Fellas? What's happening, fellas? All right.
Man, yo, feeling blessed, feeling blessed.
We talk about everything, man. We go, but mostly music, but then we're going to get down to other stuff that you later on. But I want to know, and people want to know, where you originally from and what got you into music?
All right. So originally, my background is from Trinidad. I was born in Trinidad. But, yes, you know it, in the Caribbean, last Caribbean island before South America, right down there.
Oh, yeah.
But I left there at like 8 years old, so not too many memories of it. Then I moved to New York City, and from there, that's where I grew up. That's where I'm from. That's where it's at, baby.
Yeah.
New York.
New York
All
City.
you cats from New York just migrating here in Texas. Man,
Don't hate.
Man, I didn't go to your city and try to take over.
But it's hard. It's hard, but you make it there, you make it anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I'm from Queens, New York.
What age did you get into music? When did that bug hit you?
That bug hit me probably about 5 years old. Probably for some reason they wanted to keep me quiet, so they sat me in front of the TV. And one of my first memories I could remember is like watching Soul Train. So they had the Soul Train dancers going, and then they had special guests on there. And the special guests, one of the special guests or one of the special shows I just remember seeing was like the Jackson 5. So there was little Michael and Jackson 5, and I just knew, music is what kept me quiet in front of that TV. And from then on, it was music the rest of my life.
Okay. So what made you lean towards DJing? How old were you when you started DJ, when you learned to DJ? Did somebody teach you or you just kind of picked it up on your own?
Okay, so I picked it up. When I was growing up in New York, it was all about listening to the radio. Hip hop had just started. It was, the first hip hop song came out when I was in elementary school. So here comes Sugar Hill Gang and Rapper's Delight. And at that time, no one had ever heard anything like that. I remember just the kids in the playground during lunchtime, we just form a circle and everybody knew the lyrics to that song. And we go from one person to the next, and everybody would do a line from the song, do a couple of bars from the song. And from there, I said, I'm going to be a rapper. Everybody wanted to be a rapper. There was no DJing that you were thinking of in that aspect. It was about, all right, I want to be the next Sugar Hill Gang or a rapper.
Right.
So next came out, I would say, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5. And that's when there started becoming an emphasis on the DJ. Like, hey, there's a DJ back there doing something with those turntables. I don't know what he's doing, but he's providing the music while these rappers are doing the lyrics.
Right.
And shortly after that, because hip hop was just coming off the ground, just starting up. Right after that came Run DMC, and Run DMC was right there in Queens. So
you and your Queens, all right.
So Queens, New York City, Run DMC hit, and they hit, and that album, My Adidas, It's Like That, everything, rap just took off from then. I believe they were the first major contract, and on the radio, but on the radio at night. Now, for those who go back a long way, rap, and I was at the very forefront of hip hop and rap, just living it. And late at night, they would come on at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Was when the first hip hop show would come on New York radio. You had to either find a way to wake up or just stay up until 4 o'clock and dial in on that radio station. And it was on AM radio. It wasn't even on FM to start off with. So they would premiere artists, and they didn't have many at the time.
Didn't have many.
So it was just a bunch of just talking, joking around in the studio, and whoever would come by that studio, that for the listeners, all we knew was they were in Manhattan somewhere. So this is the very forefront of hip hop. But it being Queens, one of the Run DMC artists was going to St. John's University. So St. John's University is like, what? That's right next to the high school that I'm going to. So right away, Queens is on the map. Hip hop is starting to really take off. And from there, I decided I'm going to be a rapper. And that's how I started off.
MC Doc, MC DMC. You had it first.
But I mean, he's telling the truth, man, because I remember here, at the forefront of hip hop and rap, it's like the only slots we could get was either that late wee hours of the morning, or it's like the slots where the other genres of music wasn't already locked in. But it's crazy because hip hop fans, I mean, people who love hip hop, we did what we had to do to listen to it. So a lot of us stayed up, to try to catch what we could.
That's right.
If you live near a college station, you put an antenna or wire outside the window, trying to dial in whichever way you could get that signal. Once you got it, you stay still. Don't move.
And this was before the first major show came on that station, because I like to think that since I grew up with it all along the way, that I'm like a walking history of hip hop coming out of New York City.
I can get with you on that one.
My memory goes back like that, and it goes back to the fact that the Mr. Magic show wasn't even. It didn't even start at the time. That became the first show. He became the first host of that hip hop show, where you had a MC or a host that became known to the public. Mr. Magic's. It wasn't even Mr. Magic's Rap Attack at the time. It was just the Mr. Magic show.
Yep. Then he brought Marley in as a sidekick.
That's right.
Yep. Then he.
Wow.
I think it was Frankie. Was it? I'm not sure if it was Frankie Crocker or no. I don't think it was Frankie Crocker. It was somebody else that brought him over to BLS.
Frankie Crocker, the chief rocker.
Frankie Crocker.
Then brought him over to WBLS. That's right, Cass.
Yep.
Yes. And that's when they went over to FM radio, and hip hop became frequency enhanced, let's say, from having to search for it on the dial on AM radio to the #1 urban music station reaching the masses.
I even know when Pete Rock got on. Pete Rock got on BLS because I think either Jazzy J, I think it was, had to go on tour, and Heavy D hooked him and said, "Yo, my little cousin can DJ." And I think Pete Rock was probably like 15 or something like that at the time, and he was killing it.
Okay,
killing
so
it
you were.
Oh
if
yeah,
you were in New York at that time, then
I know
you were in New York when the next stage of what occurred with my life occurred, which is I decided to join the U.S. Air Force.
So you started DJing after you got in the Air Force. You became a DJ.
Yes.
Okay.
But let me tell you this: before I left New York, and before I left Queens, the man that drove me out of Queens, I would have to say, was Mr. LL Cool J himself. The ladies love Cool J.
You were around Laurelton. You were around Laurelton area. What part of Queens were you in?
So I'm in Flushing, Queens, but right on the edge of Flushing is Jamaica, Queens, and LL was right down there in the Jamaica, Queens area. Especially on Friday night, there was a YMCA that they used to have all kinds of events and little rap contests and so on. So we would compete in these rap contests on Friday nights over there. And, I would lose to him.
I'm gonna hit you with another name that you should know then. You know Mikey D?
Mikey D. I'm not sure I remember Mikey D.
Him and L was always competing.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Mike.
I don't remember Mikey D.
Mikey had a song. It'll come to me. Okay.
So from that competition in Queens, at the time, to get a contract, they had a citywide contest. And LL didn't participate in that. But there was a group called Divine Sounds.
I know.
I know Divine Sounds did the song "Games People Play" on what people do for money. What people do for money. Well, that was their competition song. Unfortunately for me and my group, and they were coming out of Brooklyn. And Brooklyn rolls deep whenever they go out to the club. And so, when they say Brooklyn in the house,
Brooklyn is in the house.
Brooklyn's in the house.
You say Queens in the house, you might hear a little, scattered hand clapping going on. But at the time, it was Brooklyn and Queens. And they had that citywide contest for a record contract. And the group I was with, we were pretty good. Like I said, we started off rapping. And we would, the runner-up, Divine Sounds, won that contract and went on with the Games People
Divine
Play.
Sounds rocking back to back, such got Mike music on the funky scratch.
That's right. And I went out and bought their record too.
It was hot.
I wasn't mad at them. You got to go down to the Wiz. You just buy that record that comes out.
It was hot.
Yes.
Wow. And from there, you decided to join up with the military.
That's right. I said, okay, let me go see the world here, serve my country. And so, from there, my first assignment, I joined the Air Force, and my first assignment was in Germany. So I go overseas, and I take my records with me that I've been buying, and these are vinyl records, only coming out of New York City for the most part at the time. So I'm stationed over in Germany, and on the weekends, the guys, they have barbecues, cookouts, just hanging out.
Right.
I didn't have any equipment. This one guy had a record player. It wasn't even a belt drive record player that you could go back and forth with.
Uh-huh.
But he had the record player. I had the records. I loaned him my records. So he uses the records, and everybody at that point wants to scratch. Even to this day, everybody wants to scratch. So
I can tell you weren't a DJ yet. You lending out records.
I know, right?
This is right. This is right. I learned the lesson real quick though, because here he was doing something with his hand back and forth and scratched up all my records.
Yeah.
So from there, I said, well, you know what? I grew up in New York City watching these guys at this point start to try and get this equipment, do this thing where you're matching up beats. I know how it sounds. But how do you do it? So it starts with getting the equipment. And I went out and I got one turntable at the time. And at this point, they had a direct drive turntable that had come out, Technics direct drive turntable. The difference being that on the direct drive turntable, you can go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's not the belt drive where you could only go one direction forward, which is what scratched up my records.
Right.
So I get this direct drive turntable, and I get new records from the store. It would take a while to get the imported records at this point. I'm in Europe. So the backlog was about 3 months. A record comes out. You better be there the day that the record comes out at the store, because they only have a few copies.
Right.
So I would get the records, and then I had my little dormitory room, and I would just practice on the records there. But it was only one turntable. But for everybody who goes back to those days, one turntable, and say, for example, you have a cassette deck, well, then you have two sources of music. You have one source going on the cassette deck, and then you just try and match it up with the record. And that's how I started.
So I take it this was in the 80s, right?
This was in 88.
The mid. Okay, so when you got overseas,
yes.
What was the music scene like over there when it came to rap?
It was a combination of R&B being the predominant music, and then everyone is talking about this thing, disco, combination of disco, but everybody's talking about this thing called rap that has started up in New York City, and it's spreading like wildfire. Even in Europe, they know about rap now, but they don't have necessarily the DJs that are playing rap, but they have sources that they're listening to rap on.
A lot of the military people. A lot of the military people
bringing
tapes
and so on.
Tapes and people that brought records. Yeah, it's mostly tapes.
Yes, exactly. Wow. And that's why they look towards. I was fortunate because they look towards me. You from New York, and you have these records. And I had my cousins in New York and so on that would mail me some records. But there was one store there that also would bring in the imported records.
Wow.
And it's funny. It's like kind of the opposite of me. I was actually in I think I want to say Red Parrot or one of those clubs in New York when I first heard "Set It Off." That
Okay.
and a record called "Looking Down from a Hilltop," and I was
Oh,
like, "Yo, what is that record?" I ran up to the DJ. He's like, "I just got it today on the import." I like an import. He's like, "Yeah." I said, "What's the name of it?" He gave me the name. I ran over to I think it was Rock and Soul, and I was like, "Yo, I need this record." They're like, "What's the name of it?" Here's the name. This is the label. It's from an import. They're like, "All right, we'll see, try and find." And
and
me
this
and the
was
guy got
Looking
cool and
Down from the Hilltop?
looking down
Or
from the
was it
hilltop.
Strafe? Because
Strafe
Strafe,
at both. No,
that set
Strafe
it
set it
off.
off,
Yes.
and a record called "Looking Down from a Hilltop." Those were the first two imports he rocked that night, and I was like, "Yo, what are these two records?"
Okay.
And I ordered them, and nobody knew them or had it. I had it for like almost a half a year before anybody got hip to it.
Yes, but the
So
beat
then that's when you used to
on
scratch
that
out the
Set It
labels,
Off, on that
especially
Set
Yeah.
It
set off. I used to
Off.
scratch out the label. People didn't have that for a while.
Yes. The beat on Set It Off, the thing I remember about that record was it was time to just clear the dance floor. It's time for the break dances. And everyone would break dance to Set It Off.
Yeah. So
Man, people talk
what?
about MCs being competitive with one another. But back in the day, you
DJ.
DJs, oh my
Oh,
God. Y'all were hush hush, y'all were secret. You couldn't ask a DJ couldn't ask a DJ about his music because y'all wouldn't tell it. Y'all would
it's good. That's how
y'all
you
would keep
stay
it
ahead of
quiet.
everybody.
That's
Whoever
how
had the
you had
better
an
the
edge.
better music, whoever had the better music would get all the parties. So if you had songs that nobody else had, they come to see you because they want to
Yes.
hear the new stuff or they want to hear certain records that nobody else is playing.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
So
when I moved to
was it so
Jersey,
much but was it so much the selection of music that you have, or was it the system? Because I hear these stories about these old
it's,
rappers that
it's
talk
both.
about the system. You know,
It's
like
both.
if your
But
system wasn't like booming in the park in New York or wherever, you
but
know,
if you
you
don't have
wasn't
the
nothing.
records,
People wasn't paying
but
attention to you.
if you don't have the records to hold the crowd, the
Okay.
system ain't doing you
Okay.
no good.
So it's a mixture of both then.
It's
You
a
gotta
It
mixture
have
of
the
is a
both.
system,
mixture
you
of
gotta
both.
have the music. You gotta have
But
the system, you gotta have the music.
record is the key because you might know somebody that got speakers and turntables, but they don't have all the records. So that's when you teamed up and say, "Yo, I'll bring all the records. We split the 50-50."
Yes. Yes. And in
Okay.
New York, on Sundays especially, we shut down the block. There's a block party, and if
Mm-hmm.
you have the best block party, then your neighborhood starts getting known for
Yeah,
this is where the block party's at.
because you could have
Then
like 2, 3
that's
DJs in
where
the
you go.
same neighborhood doing 3 blocks over. Somebody got something set up. Go down 4 more blocks. Somebody else
Yes.
got something set up. So it's whoever's banging the
Really?
right songs, the
Wow.
right music. That's where everyone
Yes.
starts going to. Yo, so and so's
Everyone
doing this over
has
there.
the speakers that's gonna be loud, but
Gotta
what
have the music.
songs do you have? Who's gonna
Right.
show up at your party this weekend?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
that was it. So all right, when you came to Austin, I think we met in the Air Force.
We
I
did.
believe we did.
We did.
I think you had just got in, or were you there before me, or you had
No,
just got there?
I think you arrived there after
I,
me. So I got
I,
there in the fall of '88.
okay, we're around the same time. We're probably like a month or so apart then, a few
Okay,
months apart.
okay. I didn't know
Because
you. We would live
I
in
got there
different sections of the base.
when I got there when Tootsie's was kicking.
Yes, yes, that was the main club in Austin,
Yeah,
Texas at the time.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Now I didn't know
So
you, um, and I didn't know that you were DJing at the time either.
yeah,
And the way we met was probably because, um, well, before we get to Bergstrom, Just to finish up with Europe, because that's when I started DJ. And on the Air Force Base, they have what's called a non-commissioned officers club, or just call it a club.
NCO.
They have a club.
Yeah, NCO club.
The NCO club. Once I got good enough, I started playing at the NCO club, and that's where everyone goes on the base to relax, have a good time, music, and so on. That's where they bring acts, and if you're the DJ there, then you're on the right track to getting to know everybody on that base.
Right.
So from that, I met a friend of mine who was he worked with the airplanes in transporting goods throughout Europe to the different bases. He was what's called a load master is his title. He stacks the stuff on the airplane, make sure it's all properly loaded on there. So he would go all over. We're talking anywhere from England to wherever there was a military installation.
Oh,
and this guy one night, well, no, he actually had the contacts. So this guy hears me playing in the NCO club, and he's like, "Man, they would love you over here in England, and I go to Paris, I go everywhere." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Okay, on the weekend, you'd have to leave this job, and I'll get you booked. I'll get you booked as a guest DJ coming in to play in these different locations." And that's how I started to play throughout, England and France and so on through him back in those days.
That was a good hookup right there.
That was a great hookup.
That was a great hookup.
So we'd get on the plane, and on the weekend, I'd be playing somewhere else in Europe. And then I got the posting to Bergstrom Air Force Base in Texas, and that's when I got there. By that time, I'm getting better. I'm getting better, but people are hearing me and saying, "Hey, you're pretty good. I know how to match the music now. I have these records that I'm collecting, and as Cass pointed out, my collection is growing. You have records that people don't have, and I just came from Europe, so I even have some of the imports that were in Europe that they didn't have in the States. I have Kraftwerk and artists like that. Princess, one of the European artists that didn't really make it big in the U.S., but I have songs and
nice
records
beats and
from
stuff.
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, were you glad to be stateside, or you were like started missing them roaming gigs and flying here and there?
No. I was glad to be back in the U.S. of A. because that's where everything was happening. Because all of a sudden, when I left, they didn't have this station called BET. But by the time I got to the U.S. of A., they have BET, Black Entertainment Television, with Donnie Simpson and all kinds of different shows. Although
Video Soul,
they had Video Soul, they didn't have too much of a hip hop rap presence at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So hip hop rap is still growing, but the music is definitely making an impact. I get to Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin, Texas, and every day I'm practicing out of my dormitory room, and I live on the 3rd floor, and the sound travels, and it's where everyone kind of starts hanging out because I'm providing the music, and that's where I met Cass. Casanova was walking by one day, and he waved like, "What's up?" And I waved, and I said, "What's up?" And he came up there, and I forgot how the conversation went, but it was something like, I think I heard that there's somebody from New York playing music or bass here, something like that. And right away we hit it off because he was playing music also. He was DJing also.
We used to kick it. It was like, you know, like magnets attract when you put them a certain way, and then they push you away if you put them the other way. So as DJs, yeah, we were attracting like, yeah, but then it's like, okay, make sure he ain't seen none of my records. What he got? What I got? But, you know, you cool, but you still got that line.
Yes, it's a better thing.
Till you grow and get to know the person.
That brings back a memory of how it was back in those days. You meet each other, and then it's like, hey, can I look through your records? So then, you're looking through the records, and
mental note, what's this?
From looking through the records, you kind of like, hey, I don't have this. Mental record of like, I got to get a hold of this. And he has this. I've been looking for that. Those were the days when music, the definition of it and the definition of you as a DJ is like, what kind of exclusive music that you had that they didn't have?
Yeah. All right, let's jump ahead a little bit. Do you remember the first club you ever DJed at in Texas?
What, here in Austin?
Yeah, in Austin.
Yes, yes, I do, because I was DJing at the NCO club at Bergstrom, and so I'm perfectly content to just DJ on the bass. And to be perfectly honest, I'm from New York City. I had been over in Europe, but I never drove. I didn't know how to drive. New Yorkers sometimes they just don't know how to drive because you never needed to know how to in the city. So I never went off base. I was DJing at the club. Everybody goes there, all my friends, everything is there.
That's why we didn't know each other that close yet, because as soon as I finished work, I was off the bass.
Okay.
I didn't hang up the bass at all. As soon as I worked, I would change and I was on.
Yes.
So I had to see what was going on.
I was the one who was just going to my room, messing around with music even before I went into work. And then I would go into work. And this was only on the weekend. I was playing at the NCO club. So a friend of mine, another friend of mine from New York, he was going off base also, Al Jimenez. And he comes to me and he says, hey, there's a DJ competition at a club off base that I think you should go and compete in and try and get the job at this club off base. I was like, well, I would do that, but I don't know how to drive. So even if I won this thing, I wouldn't be able to drive and work at this place. He said, I'll drive you. If you win this thing, I'll be there with you. And that's what made me go and compete at this club. It was called called Cocktails. It was just opening up in Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
it had previously been a popular club, but it was playing disco and so on. They were looking for, at the time, the format was going to be a bit of hip hop, Latin freestyle music, artists like Cover Girls, Sweet Sensation, Debbie Deb, and so on. So I go there, and there's a bunch of local DJs who are competing, and the people know them, and I go up in there, and nobody knows me. But music is about who moves the crowd, and at the end of the night, they said, "Hey, you got the job," and that's the first club I started at.
You were at Cocktails for a long time. You threw a lot of changes.
Yes. There were only a few clubs that played hip hop or played even R&B in Austin at the time, and the biggest one was directly across the street from Cocktails, this club I'm starting up at. So there was competition right away as to, okay, the people who were leaving that club or who were maybe looking for something different, let's go check out what's at this club directly across the street. And I was introducing hip hop and freestyle, which was also new. It was coming out of Miami and New York primarily.
Yeah.
Now, Cocktails was that on Riverside?
That was on Riverside Drive. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember.
Chaos.
That.
That was Chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Cocktails Chaos.
It turned into Chaos later on down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there a different name after Cocktails before it went to Chaos? Or was it just those?
No, it changed from Cocktails to Chaos.
Chaos, okay.
Yes, and Tootsie's was directly across the street. That was the black club in Austin, Texas. That and another club called Midtown Live.
Do you remember a DJ competition we were both in at a skating ring?
The skating rink competition, I don't recall clearly on that one. No. Tell me about that.
Together, and who was there? Anquiette from Throw That Beat.
Okay.
And it was a bunch of other people. It was just I have to stop from saying exactly because I think he had put that on.
Okay.
But I do remember that when we were together then.
Who won that? Who won that competition?
It was I. As Mr. Hulu would say, it was
I. Okay. Good. Congratulations, my brother. Speaking of competitions, then I'm over there playing at Cocktails, and after about 2 years.
Yeah, you were there.
Yes, and hip hop all along the way is growing. There's Latin freestyle has grown. There's so many different forms of music at the time that's really like taking off. Pop music is changing and becoming more infused with hip hop.
You tapped into a market before the market was developed.
Yes.
That's, to me, that's what made you an elite DJ, because you tapped into a market that was just slowly coming about, but you kind of pushed it and created it where everyone was coming to you for that.
Yes.
That sound, because you kind of encapsulated the black, white, and Spanish and molded them all into that one spot where they all would come.
Yes, it was unique.
Exactly.
The Latin crowd at the time didn't know hip hop, but music is international. So
exactly,
what they did was they started to just learn hip hop through what I was playing. Yes.
Yep. And a little further on, you even went ahead and I would say created when DVDs came about, you were creating the DVD mix before they came out with video mixers. You were doing mixes with the DVDs and putting the dirty versions to it, and then playing it on the screen while you were DJing.
Yes.
So
At the club, they had a big screen, and I felt that was being underutilized because nothing would really be playing on there. And so here we have music.
Take claim on all that, because I know for a fact you were the first person in Austin doing that.
Thank you. Actually, on my DJ resume, I would say I point out that yes, I am actually one of the creators of that particular genre, the DJ video mix DJ. Yes. Well, prior to that, though, 2 years on, I'm at Cocktails, and I hear of another competition that they have, and it so happens to be the DMC, the Southern Region competition. So people from all around are coming to participate in that, not just the local DJs and so on. I entered that, and few months later, I emerged as the winner of that DMC competition in 1990. And from that, the people around the city, because the mayor presided over that also, the mayor of Austin at the time gave me the trophy and so on. People are like, where is this place that you work at? We've been, for the people who didn't know of the place, they're asking, where do you work at? And we want to come check you out, and we want to come check that place out. And that's when they started to really discover Cocktails. And from that, the Latin format at the time became perhaps a secondary thing. They were coming to hear hip hop and pop there. And that's when the name changed to Chaos, with an emphasis on the hip hop and freestyle formats.
Right. Okay. I didn't know you did the DMC in 1990s. I have a question for you. Do you still have the trophy?
Yes, I do.
All right. Make sure you do, because I have a whole bunch of them. Ron asked me quite a few years ago. I guess I unboxed them and was putting them up on the shelf. He's like, "What are those?" I'm like, "These are trophies." He's like, "You won trophies for DJing?
Yes.
You better recognize."
Yes. Yes, there were competitions for DJing, and to this day, there still are. The DMC is still going.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you, so your love for music, did you ever want to get into the production of music?
That's a great question. At the time, I had met a mutual friend of Casanova's and mine, named Rab Bakari.
Yeah,
DJ
man.
Rab. So
R.I.P.
Yes, indeed. And Rab was always about production and DJing. So I'm like, okay, producing beats. How do you go about producing the beats? I know about the 808. Every DJ knows about the 808 drum machine, but how do you go about producing a track? So I would hang around with Rab, but I didn't hang around with him too much. I started hearing, well, he's hanging out with Cass, and both of them were primarily about the production. I mean, they're hours and hours, days and days. Who knows what they're doing?
Right.
But they're taking it to the production level, and they're kicking ideas back and forth and producing beats, reaching out to people who might be rappers, singers, whatever. And I said, let me stay in my lane and just DJ. So I stayed in that lane, but the production side, my interest started to go towards video production of the music. And that's when I started looking at the video DJing, which is a production in itself. Someone had come up to me, and at the time, DJs would make, well, to this day also, DJs make mixtapes. But it was a huge thing back then to have like a CD made by a DJ.
Yeah, so all the ballers were starting to put the little screens in their cars. So all the ballers was doing that. So he had a certain audience that wanted stuff.
Someone came up to me and said, "Hey, can you do that with the video? Can you make me a mixtape, not just a CD, but the videos, so that I could ride around with it in my car?" And in my mind, I was like, man, I've always loved music videos. Everyone is tuning in to MTV Raps, and now BET has, the rap shows every day. Those are the main things that you're checking out. I started in on the idea of how do you do that? And it wasn't easy. It was not easy. No one wanted to, no producer or book or anything would teach you how to basically produce, edit a video. You had to go to school for it.
Or figure it out.
Those schools were primarily like in New York and California and so on. So I took on that challenge.
And he knocked it out the park. I can say he knocked it out the park.
Thank you.
I think I still got one of those CDs somewhere.
Okay.
I think I got one somewhere.
I still have them. It's gone to another level now. Yes.
Here's a question for you. What do you feel is your biggest musical accomplishment?
My biggest music accomplishment would be winning that DMC contest.
That still holds the weight.
That's still it, because I was unknown. I was known in circles, but I wasn't known like citywide or nationwide or anything like that.
Right.
Once I won that competition and could say that, hey, I won that, people were pretty familiar with the DMC competition, or just the fact that you won a DJ competition. Then, okay, I'll come check out what you're doing and how you sound. So that was my main accomplishment that then just really it kept me in the business from then on. That's what's going to be on the resume. That's what's going to give me opportunities. The radio station likes to hear that you won a competition without even hearing you, because a lot of them want, okay, give me a demo, or do something, or okay, maybe we've seen you somewhere, but we have to come check you out again. If you won a competition, that speaks for itself.
Right.
And you know what? And I want to go backwards and thank you for letting me into your house, meaning Chaos, because that was your setup, your club. And when I started DJing there through 104, first thing I asked him was like, Doc DJ's there. What's the situation? When they told me they wanted me to DJ a certain night there. So I wanted to get clarity, just not just trying to come walking into somebody else's house like that. And they're like,
that's a great thing.
DJing there. He's still DJing there. I'm like, okay. I just wanted to make sure what was going on. And then
you see what had happened was at the time, I had been booked in Australia. So I went to Australia to DJ, and they needed to find somebody who was good enough to fill in. Yes. And that was my man Casanova.
All right. And you were probably like me at the point, because some points you were getting burnt out because you were there every single week without backup. So it was you, and like, so
Yes.
certain nights, I think I had to do a couple of things out of time. I like, yo, Doc, can you hold down till I get back?
Yes.
I know it's your night off and all. And you just, all right, I got you. Then I'd come running in. All right.
It can happen.
Later, you like, all right, later. Boom.
It can happen. And when you let's say you have a residency at a place and you are an elite type of DJ, the person that's even going to fill in has to be a kind of elite DJ also, because there'll be a noticeable difference.
Right.
And I consider Cass an elite DJ. I've always been impressed by his skills, and our careers have.
Well, if I never told you, I want to say thank you for letting me in your house.
But yes, yes, you're my brother right there.
All right. I just wanted to extend that, let you know it was appreciated that you let me in your house.
Hey, thank you for filling in there.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna finish chopping it up with DJ Doc. Let me rephrase that: the legendary DJ Doc. All right, y'all, we're back with the main man, the legendary DJ Doc. I'm your boy DJ Casanova, and my main man, who?
Yo, I'm your boy Teddy Lee. What it do?
All right, Doc. We've been traveling from bottom to top, how you started and how things are going musically. You've DJed at a lot of different clubs. Is there a particular club that's your favorite other than Cocktails? Because I know that was your main base. We're going to get outside of Cocktails. What other clubs in Austin, whether it be the way the system was, the lights, just the space, the energy, what other clubs in Austin that was like where you say, man, this club was it?
My top club would be downtown Austin, Texas, is what's called Club Element.
I knew you were going to say that.
Located on 5th and Lavaca.
That was a nice look club.
I had the pleasure
of DJing in there. I had the pleasure of DJing in there also.
Built from the ground up. Built from the ground up. Multi-million-dollar club. Multi-million-dollar light system. And sound system. And everything set for the DJs. Everything from turntables to your digital CDJs. It was all set. All the DJ had to do was bring their talent and their music, and you're ready to go.
I think there was a show in there.
That brings up a question. So you DJ'd overseas in Germany, England, France, here in the US, Australia.
Yes.
What would you say the main differences are between them? Because like me and Kaz, we went to Japan, right?
Yes.
And we went to a club there, and in Japan at the time we went, they were more into the lights and the ambiance of the club more so than the sound itself. They love the sound, don't get me wrong, but I remember one club. But Kaz, you know how remember when we walked into that club and see their clubs there, it's like you have a building, say you got a 10-story building, their club is like the whole floor of a building. So the whole floor, you get off on that floor, that's the club.
Yes.
And you walk inside there, and I still remember it to this day. You walk inside this club, and we look at the DJ booth, and like above his head, like 3 or 4 racks up, none but amps going across.
The whole back wall behind the DJ, literally
nothing but
whole
amps.
Back wall is
amps. But the laser light show and all this other kind of stuff is going on in there. So that's a difference that, like here, we don't normally see that. You know, especially here in Texas, we don't see it. You know, maybe on the East Coast or something. Maybe that's you can
Before
find
you
that
jump
there.
in,
But
Doc,
yes,
like they were so advanced to some of the stuff that is just coming into the US within the last 10, 15 years. Like they had the seats, like if you're sitting off the dance floor, you sitting in these seats, you feeling every bass, everything through the seats.
Yeah.
As if you're standing right next to the subs, but you can still hold a regular conversation without yelling.
Yes, that's when you know you have an excellent sound system.
When you step on the laser light show,
people don't know that.
Yeah, when their laser light show, we're on the dance floor, and they had like a big giant vase flower thing in the middle, and you see the laser light going and trickling off the flowers if it's like water drops, or the laser light show. And even to this day, I haven't seen a laser light compared to that in the United States.
Presentation has been the biggest thing that I noticed in the clubs throughout the world, and that's how they compete.
And even in Austin, I've never been in a club in Texas where the system competes to a New York's club sound system. LA has, but I took Teddy to a club that's tri-amp system. Most people don't know about a tri-amp system where just the highs, the mids, and the bass is separate.
Separate, yes.
Everything's separate, and it's a difference. And it's a difference. All I can say is you have to experience it. A Richard Long sound system, it's like, whoa.
Now you see, that should probably be one of the things that one of the categories that DJs discuss, because it's a thing that usually does not come up in a conversation. What DJ booths have you been the happiest in? Sometimes the DJ will be in a corner at a party. When you started off, I remember being in a corner somewhere, and then as you travel to, if you get the opportunity to play in these major clubs and around the world, we're talking Europe and Asia. I haven't played in Asia, but I know what you're talking about, because in Europe, this presentation factor and the sound system factor, but not only just the sound system, the work that goes into presenting your show that weekend, the advertising for it, the flyers are on par with like New York. New York has great advertising and flyers, but these clubs put out brochures and make video presentations that's like drawing the people in, because every club is competing not just with who the DJ is going to be, but why are you going to come to my club? And they're competing with advertisement.
I'm gonna tell you, this also separates everything to me. Everywhere I've been is Japan. We keep going back to it, but Japan had a club, a bar that opened up after everything shut down, just for the DJs and the bar staffs and everybody.
Okay.
So we all went to this club at like 4 a.m. and hung out till daylight. And everybody in there was a DJ or somebody that worked in a club or something, some kind of person. It wasn't like regular outside people. It was just everybody like getting the wine down, have some drinks, have some fun. You know, and that says a lot to me.
Yes.
You know, that says a lot. I've never been anywhere else that has done that. I'm sure there's hole in the wall underground spots that opened up, but this catered strictly to the people that didn't get the party because we were working.
In Germany, they had a place that opened up. I'll never forget the name of it, because it was called Paul's After 6. Paul's After 6. It opened up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So after the club finished, and the clubs would finish late. That's another thing you learn around the world. A lot of these clubs open up and close late. New York City does, but LA, LA closes kind of early, and then you have your after parties.
Ask Teddy where he was the first night. Took him out to a club.
Here we go.
So I'm gonna tell you
real quickly. So he takes me to New York, and his brother, his cousin, everybody's sister.
Okay.
You know, and they like, yeah, we going out tonight. And I'm like, all right, cool. So you know me, I'm from Texas. So you know, by 8, 9 o'clock, you know, I'm getting ready, you know. And I'm like, yo, we going or what? He's like, man, it's too early. What you mean it's too early? It's too early, man. We probably won't go out till like 12 or something. I was like, man, y'all lost your mind, you know. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we go out. And this is where he's talking about that club that had that system. And
Trafalgar Square.
We walk in there, you know what I'm saying? And Kaz had always told me about these systems in New York, right? So we go in there and they're playing music, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool, you know, but it's nothing for me to get excited about. I'm like, all right, this ain't nothing special, you know. And like the bass bins are kind of dug in. It looks like a basketball court to me.
It's in the ground.
And the bass bins are dug into it. And then they got these bullets hanging from the ceiling and stuff like this. But the system is okay. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, Kaz, man, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. He said, no, you ain't heard nothing yet. What? You ain't heard nothing yet. So the next thing I know, he says, wait till they hit the switch, dog. Wait till they hit it. And next thing I know, they did something. And next thing you know, I felt it all in my chest. Man, it moved me. You know, it moved me a foot or so. You know, because I'm like, whoa, what is this? But as getting back to how late, you know, they go, you know, it's 2:30. I think I'm doing good. They in there partying hard. And I'm like, you know what? I said, I can't do this. I said, I got to go to the car. I got to go lay down, you know. So I get the keys. I go to the car, and it's cold because I think we're there. It was winter time. It was cold. Yeah, it was the cold months. I go get in the car.
Go take a nap. Go take a nap.
I got the heater going. I'm knocked out. Here they come knocking on the door for the car. It's like 5 or 6 in the morning. And I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, y'all just now leaving the clock.
Yes.
I mean, doing the club. They're like, yeah, you know, open up the door, and here they are all think, oh man, thanks for having the car warm, man. Appreciate it, man. I'm like, man, y'all ain't no good. Y'all ain't no good.
Man, that takes me back in time to one of the times my mom punished me. Because now I'm old enough to go out. I'm like, okay, I'm 18. I could go out, and I go to the club, and there's no clock, there's no Apple Watch, there's no Apple phone, and all you know is that you look maybe towards the door, and people are still lined up. So you just keep going, and the amount of money you have is how long you gonna be at the club. Maybe you can still go.
if you don't drink a whole lot, you're good, and you just like the music.
Still go. So something told me, hey, wait a minute, you might be here. You might have been here for a long time. It might be time to go home. You still don't know what time it is. I open up the door, and they have the exit somewhere in the back because they don't want no one else knowing that maybe it might be time to go home. I open up the door, and it's sunlight outside. And it's like 9 in the morning.
Wow.
By the time I got back home, it's almost noon. I'm punished. I'm grounded. That's New York City.
It's crazy.
It's a different beast. But it's times that you...
Europe, the clubs are like that. You go all night long.
Yeah. London was good because London had those flat parties where it's like, say, if a three-story house, and on each floor is a different DJ, different type of music.
Yes, it was the first place actually, and I experienced that. There in Germany, where it was like, wait a minute, 3 different formats, 3 different floors. Yep. And that didn't come to the U.S. until I didn't experience that in the U.S. until probably about 15 years later.
Yeah.
Wow.
You work your way from floor to floor.
So what are you doing now? Are you still DJing?
So I'm still DJing, and one of the things that I didn't give myself the legendary DJ Doc title. All of a sudden,
you earned it.
Yes, and people just would start referring to me that way. Couple of DJs, and I think I have the title of the longest tenured. In fact, I don't think I have the longest tenured DJ residency in this city of Austin, Texas. Since 1990 to present, I've only not DJ'd in this city or DJ'd period at a club for about 6 months.
Wow.
Only about 6 months did I ever stop DJing, and I've been DJing just continuously since.
And I can agree with that. I think we were, until I moved, we were probably the 2 longest running consistent DJs.
Yes. They shouldn't even call it tenure because this is competition. If you don't get the job done DJing and in music,
else will.
You're not going to be there for long. Yes.
Yeah. So that's a tribute to skills, knowing your music, and having following.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. The people will go. They can go anywhere to get a drink, but they can only go certain places to get the music right, to hear the music the way they like it,
and what they want, what they expect,
and what you want 1 week to the next week. You can't. What works 1 week isn't going to work the next week. You always have to innovate and create.
Yep.
So are you predominantly at just one club, or are you doing multiple clubs in the city?
I do 2 clubs in Austin, Texas currently. Downtown on 6th Street, in the heart of Austin, Texas, at Dizzy Rooster on Fridays. On Thursdays, I'm at OK Corral nightclub, which is located off of 629 Ben White Boulevard. And I do that on Thursday and Saturday night.
And for those that don't know, what genres of music do you play in those spots in case they want to come check you out? They'll know what to expect.
So hip hop and top 40 on Fridays downtown. On Thursdays, I play anything from it's a throwback night, and throwback. Once you put that label of throwback on a night,
be anything.
That means you can pull out all the great music. What I like to do is keep hip hop alive. So you pull out all the classic hip hop, but it's also a Latin crowd. And that expands it even more. It makes it a beautiful thing. Now you could go to reggaeton. Now you could do cumbias, merengue, Tex-Mex music, Tejano music. And That's the format on Thursday night, Throwback Thursday. On Saturday night, it's Latin and hip hop and Latin freestyle, keeping that Latin freestyle, Miami flavor, New York flavor, Chicago. Keep all of that alive on Saturdays.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you can get
before we get out of here. Well, we'll talk after we finish. There's a couple questions I wanted to ask you about certain clubs, whatever, to them and stuff like that. But I just want to say, I'm glad we had this conversation because, like I said, sometimes some heroes go unsung, and I wanted to make sure that people that don't know you or don't know how long you've been a DJ, that might have just seen you a few times, I want them to realize how long you've been doing it and to what extent and where your heart is, that your heart is into the music. You're not just doing a paycheck. You truly love what you do and you truly love the music. So that's why I wanted you on this podcast with us, just to chop it up. You know, I could have gone regular questions for like most places would do, but I want you to tell your story and people to hear it from you and know what you've been doing and how long you've been doing it.
There's the story.
And I really, yes, always. And I really appreciate you coming on with me and T. And I just want to say thank you for doing what you do, my man. And it's great to have you as a friend and as a fellow DJ friend. So there's not too many people that you know for so long that still does the same thing that you like to do.
Thank you. Well said. And we do it for the people also. We do it for the music above all, but right after that is we do it for the people. In case the people didn't know that, we do it for the love of moving the crowd.
Like I tell most people, a real DJ is not just somebody that can play music. You got to be able to read the crowd.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I want to thank you and give you your flowers, man, for jogging my memory because, you know, me personally, when Cass told me you was gonna be on the show, you know, I really tried to think hard. I'm like, man, do I really remember him, man? How do I remember this dude? I can't. And as y'all talk, you know, little bits and pieces come to me, but where it hit me when I remembered you is when y'all got to talking about the video DJing. And then I was like, wait a minute, I used to go to this place called Cocktails. Yes. And I remember seeing these video things on the screen. And I was like, dang, that's cool as hell, you know.
Once I learned how to do it, that's where I would play them.
You jogged my memory, man. And I was just like, that's where I know him from. Because when you're looking at your face, I'm like, man, he looks familiar. You really don't. Now, you know, because we forget, man. And it's up to y'all DJs to remind us. I mean, that's y'all's job. Y'all remind us what we used to love. You know what I'm saying? What made us fall in love with this thing called hip hop and music and live performances and all that. Because nothing moves without the DJ. I don't care what it is. Nothing moves without the DJ.
You got it.
Thank you, my brother Teddy.
Yes, sir. Well, man, it was a blast hanging out with you. Go ahead, Cass.
On that note, I want to say thank you for tuning in to CTI Podcast. Your boy DJ Casanova, my main man,
Teddy Lee,
and with the legendary DJ Doc. CT Podcast. See you on the next episode.
Peace out.